the trade. Before we get to the charts that matter, let's have a quick look at what traders are watching out there. And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has lost a no confidence vote, paving the way for an early election in February. The resignation of Canada's finance minister and the vote of no confidence in Germany's Chancellor come on the heels of a surprising credit rating downgrade for France. And these developments expected to spark a risk-off environment ahead of this week's central bank blitz. Bitcoin rallying past $107,000 as President-elect Donald Trump reiterates that he plans to create a US Bitcoin strategic reserve similar to the strategic oil reserve, stoking the enthusiasm of crypto bulls. And TikTok has made a last-ditch effort to continue operating in the US, asking the Supreme Court to temporarily block a law intended to force ByteDance, its China-based parent company, to divest the short video app by January 19 or face a ban. Let's get to MPC Markets TikTok star. No, I'm kidding. Jonathan, I'm sure you don't have TikTok. You do, though, like looking at seasonality. What are we seeing? I mean, December's meant to be so good for markets.
Yeah, that's right. So let's just go to step one. What is seasonality? It's just basically, so usually when you're looking at price charts, you're just looking at the time and the price. What seasonality is it just gives you the average of what each instrument does on a given time throughout the year. And the seasonality that I'm going to talk about today is, first of all, gold, and then S&P and Nasdaq. And
all right, so we'll bring up the gold chart then.
Gold?
Yeah.
So gold, so I've highlighted the areas that I think are quite important. So basically we have about 4 or 5 weeks till Trump gets inaugurated, okay? And basically the animal spirits are running wild in the equities market. So there's a lot of hopium about, that he's going to change the government. So I just think that the period running up into that date, I think pretty much you have to stay long, stay invested. I think that's what's going to happen. So with gold itself, there's usually a good rally in the last 2 weeks of the year, and then it continues for the first 2 months. A lot of that is to do with just basically Christmas time. Gold is given as a gift, but I think more or less, I think the central banks are just seeing that they want to have a strategic asset outside of the US dollar. Obviously with Trump coming in with some tariffs on the BRICS nations, I think gold will continue to have a bid. So we saw a dip back down to about 26.50 in gold. It recently got up to 27.20. I think it just continues to power on higher. And I think the highest was 28.50. I think it tests that over the next few weeks.
And there could be then more consolidation in the space too, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like if we're talking gold stocks itself, we saw that Northern Star took over De Grey. My next 2 picks in that space are Gold Road and Regis Resources. So basically, good tier 1 producers within Australia are going to become a premium sort of takeover target. So they're my 2 sort of next on the target there.
All right. Well, let's get into the seasonality then of the S&P 500, which has had an extraordinary run in 2024. I can't even remember how many record highs it's reached. What are we seeing in terms of the trends though now? Okay,
so what you have to think about is that in America, the fund managers are based on the calendar year. So anyone who has underperformed this year, and we're talking a big year. I think we've had back-to-back 20+% gains in the S&P itself. So anyone that's playing catch-up now pretty much just has to buy into what's moving, and what's moving is the Mag 7 and the large caps. So anyone that and that's usually why the seasonality takes place in that last 2 weeks. So seasonality would have started pretty much yesterday, and we saw the S&P break out to new highs. Nasdaq broke out to new highs. That usually continues till the year's end, and then it continues for the first 2 weeks of next year as well. And what you have to remember is that during that period, it's usually just skeleton staff that are manning the trading desks. And so because we have thin markets, they can be pushed around a lot easier with a lot less capital. And that's what usually happens in this 4-week period.
All right, well, the Nasdaq above 20,000, where to now?
So I think it just continues higher as well. So Nasdaq seasonality is the same thing as well. A good sort of bounce into year's end. So the last 2 weeks, we have a good bounce. And even that first 2 weeks of January, we have a good bounce as well. So it kind of just all ties into Trump getting, that Trump date in January 20. That I think will have good, pretty much the momentum that's carried us to these highs continues for the next 4 weeks. I'm not too sure how fast it goes, but just looking at the seasonality, I think it just continues. So I wouldn't want to miss the rally. But when Trump comes in, if he starts increasing tariffs here and there, and is willing to, sort of take some medicine early on, put some hard choices in. We could see a bit of a pause there, but at the moment, just ride the wave till he gets in.
All right, Jonathan, always appreciate your insights. Thank you so much. Jonathan Tacadena from MPC Markets with a look at seasonality and where we could see some key indexes and, of course, gold go. That does it for this episode of The Trade. Be sure to join us again next time.